which is Abyssian. It's my favorite faction. It's a lot of fun. It's a old and classic archetype. It revolves around putting out a lot of small bodies, particularly Wraithlings that your general can summon with her Bloodborne spell, and then using them to control the board or cash them in for various Death Watch effects, which we'll go over in a little bit more detail once we get into the game. So, just a couple things to note. So the deck has a fairly low curve. Generally, you sort of want to aim for 9 opening play 2-drops, and then you want a little bit of an end game, a little bit of a mid game, and then usually some card advantage. So this deck plans to have a pretty fast game plan. That way, card advantage isn't nearly as needed. It tries to win fairly early on, although it does have a little bit of card advantage. Replicant can draw a card as well as Inkling Search, but that's enough talking about the list. Well, one or two more things. So the keys to the deck is put lots of bodies out, but try not to overextend in an AoE, and then use all those bodies to cash in on effects like Shadow Dancer, Blood-Tide Priestess, or Soul Shatter or Chocolate. So let's get into game pretty quick here, although another thing I want to show you is something you can do with these Baghoom deck builder codes is if you copy everything off of after this number symbol here, you can use that as an import code for the deck. And see, now just copy that deck right in there, and it's all ready to go. And the other thing is, I usually prefer to do my deck building on a browser rather than in client. It's just a little less awkward. And although you can copy it from here, but be careful you don't get that little number on the end there, because that's just how many times people have clicked the link. So avoid that if you're copying it straight from there. So let's just hop into game here. I don't bore you to death just talking about little details here. It's the start of the season, so the ladder's reset, putting me back into silver from S rank. Usually I try to do my budget guy when I'm a little bit closer to S, but I figured today's a good day for it. We'll just play in the low portion of the ladder and see how far we can get with the budget decks. Alright, so looks like we've got our first game. It's up against Argion, the classic Lionar general. Hello, Phantom Goth. Thanks for stopping by. Alright, so versus Lionar, there's a couple things you want to think about. So a common card they run is Tempest, which is a 2-mana card that can that does 2 damage to everything on the field. So you got to be a little careful about things like that, because you don't want to just blow your hand and get your field wiped. And the other things to know about are just stuff that Argion tends to play. So he tends to play either very aggressive tempo-oriented lists or big minions with Divine Bond, which we'll be playing later on today. So, alright, at the beginning of the game, you usually want to replace 2 cards. Well, you can replace up to 2 cards. So what you want to do is you want to look for a good opening play. Crypto's a very good one as player 1, a 2-drop. You don't usually want to open with Furiosa because you don't want her to die earlier on. You don't usually want to play her unless you can play her at the same time that you can get her effect off, which you'll see soon enough. But, right, I also don't want to replace those. I'm going to replace... Actually, I'm just going to hold on to this whole hand here because it's not bad at all. I don't have any real payoff cards, but that's okay. Typically you want, a couple swarm cards as well as a payoff card. And Furiosa is kind of a payoff card, but not a real game winner usually. So my plan why I kept this hand is it's going to let me really swarm the field really quick, and thanks to Cryptographer, who refreshes my Bloodborne spell. When you use your Bloodborne spell, that's how you get Furiosa to work. So my opening play is going to be Cryptographer, which will have that refreshed for next turn. Now you do want to be careful with Cryptographer, because if you play him at the same time that your Bloodborne spell is already active, you will miss his effect. But my plan here is I'm just, having a solid opening play, which will transition into a Furiosa Shadow Spawn, but ideally I'll be able to use these globes to also play a Wraithling Swarm at the same time. So this is 3, 4, 5. 5 mana total. If I get 2 of these globes, which is very likely between contesting with Crypto and Wraithling Swarm's effect. Anyways, let me end my turn so this poor guy can have his turn. Alright, and now we've drawn into one of our many payoff cards. That can end the game real quick here.
Wow, what the heck?
So, alright. Okay, so he's actually given us access to all of these globes, and that's a pretty big deal. So, now we can go even crazier here. So let's see. So Wraithling Swarm, you get to summon 3 Wraithlings, and we will use it to take both of these globes here. And now, we can also take the globe up here.
Oh, man.
Which will now we can even play a nice little Inkling Surge as well, which will draw us a card. And now, I don't really need that final Wraithling Swarm. Now we can play the Furiosa in a safe position and use our Bloodborne spell and buff that field up massively. So that's a strong starting play. Now, if he has a Tempest in hand, that's really going to suck. If he plays it, and that is something you do need to be very careful of. You don't want to overextend into a field wipe, which I may have here, but it was such a good opportunity, I didn't really want to pass it up. And, there was no shame in playing the Inkling Surge.
Especially because you've got another one right there.
So you don't usually want to go face with your general. You don't usually want to go face with your general for a couple reasons. A, Lionor has a lot of healing. Okay, yeah, there's the Tempest, so that's exactly the type of thing you do need to be worried about. And I did overextend a little bit, and that happens sometimes.
But it's not the end of the world. It's possible to come back.
It is possible to come back, but it's certainly not going to be easy. But let's see what we can do here. So first things first. And as I was saying, you don't want to, attack this because Lionor is known for having a lot of healing. So attacking that was really risky. But that Tempest is going to be really hard to recover from, and that's the classic problem with this deck. It's very powerful. If they don't have AoE, you usually just win uncontested. But if they do, sometimes you can lose pretty badly too, and that's why you do need to be careful and not overextend. And I did a little bit much, but it was just, if he didn't have a Tempest, that turn would have probably won us the game. So, risk versus reward, sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But anyways, let's get back to here. Now, without a field now and being in a recovery position, Soul Shatter Pack's not going to do much for us, so we're going to replace that. Let's see here. Next turn, he's going to be able to buff this up, and that's going to hurt a lot. But I think we'll just go ahead and clean up his field as well as we can here. So I'm going to use Ritual Banishing to clear the Lion, which may not be wise, because that's not a huge threat. And you do typically want to be pretty stingy with your removal, but that Lion was going to do a lot of damage next turn, and we're in a play from behind position at the moment, so I'm just trying to get a board back and clean his up. Besides, I also had a backup removal. I've even drawn into a third one, so I probably wouldn't have done that if I didn't have a backup removal, but as I do, I decided to go for that, just see if I can get some field back. Although, we're going to be pretty hard pressed to win after that Tempest, and sometimes that's just how it goes when you're playing Swarm Abyss. So let's see, is there any way we can recover yet? Let's see, let's count our mana. Alright. Yeah, he definitely appears to be playing a pretty aggressive tempo list. So we may have already lost, but because he's A, I have 2 removals in hand, B, he's playing an aggressive tempo list, doesn't look like he's going to have any real high priority removal, so I'm going to go ahead and toss that away. Alright, so now we're going to do our best to just try and recover our field. I'm going to clean this off, and then I'm going to use these Wraithlings to body block as well as I can, although it may not be practical because he's going to have a few angles to get in here, but it's the best I've got at the moment, and it potentially gets me to the point where I may again have a big enough field to do something if I manage to draw myself a Shadow Dancer or a Blood Priestess. So that's just the best we got. We're using the mana to our best of our ability. We're just trying to recover, but it is not going to be an easy task. Now, he may have Holy Immolation. Okay, so we got a little lucky there. He didn't have Holy Immolation, which is a card you really need to play around. So like Tempest and Holy Immolation are cards you really need to play around. Holy Immolation is target one of his minions, deal 4 damage to all enemies around it, and heal the minion. And that was exactly the type of card that I didn't want to play into, why I didn't attack his Silver Guard Knight early on. Alright, so Soul Piercer is ranged, so we do want to deal with that. We have Demonic Lure. Alright, so let's see. First things first, let's go ahead and draw a card with our Inkling Surge to see if we find a better option. If we find a Ritual Banishing, we'll be able to use that. But again, we need to explore our options right now. I'm not usually you want to replace before making a play, but this is sort of a special case where I may want something in my hand and I have the ability to draw a card. Alright, so we could do a Soul Shatter pack right now, that would be decent, but we still won't be able to clear the Soul Piercer with just the Soul Shatter pack, so we may want to hold off on that for better value.
What's the tall skinny dude at 2 mana do? In your hand?
I need to focus for a moment here, because I'm running out of time. Alright, so we're just gonna clean up his field again and see if we can get back to developing our own here. Alright, roped out there a little bit from explaining so long, but that's alright. I still managed to play everything I really wanted to. We cleaned his field up and we've started developing again, so if we can get our field sick, we may be able to get a good Soul Shatter pack off. Although we are now out of removal and very low on health, and we still haven't seen a Blood Priestess or a Shadow Dancer, which is the kind of thing we really need in this matchup. But we're doing our best to hang on here. We're getting a decent field back, and we're just sort of biding our time. Okay, yet another Soul Piercer. So this has been an uphill battle for a while. We're trying our best, but he really just has had all the tools he could possibly find that to give us a bad time. Alright, well, we have a Blood Priestess, but unfortunately, with that Soul Piercer down, we may just be out of luck now. Now, what I can do at least is I can at least force him to, let's see here, 3, 4, 5, and we are not in a good position right now, because this has ranged. I believe his Roar is up right next turn, so he's going to have 5 damage just off of the range from that Soul Piercer. So we can't afford to trade with our general at all right now. So the only thing we can really do here is, it's getting a bit desperate, but sometimes that's just what you have to do. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and play this priest. Normally you play priestess really defensively. As we're in a desperate situation, I'm going to play her really offensively since she can die to ranged anyways. So I'm going to toss her up here, and I'm going to use the Shoal Shatter just to clean up the field and help us develop some more Wraithlings off of her effect. Because we have probably lost, but I am doing the best that I can to recover here. And since he has the ability to, clear that priestess with Soul Piercer's range either way, there was no sense in trying to set her up defensively. Now, unfortunately, he's had a very good hand. We have had an okay one. We got that really strong opening play, but we got punished for overextending into the Tempest. And if we're not, he is down to one card. So if we can find a Shadow Dancer or a Ritual Banishing, we may still be in this. Alright, so this guy, he's one of the cards in our deck that helps us give us some card advantage.
Gotcha.
When you play him, he draws another one of himself. Alright, so unfortunately, if we don't find a removal for this Soul Piercer, we're dead because he can buff it up again. So, or Shadow Dancer. So I'm going to replace this Replicant, because... Actually, I'm going to replace the Blood-type Priestess. No, Replicant can go. Alright. That is not... Unfortunately, I think, 3, 6, 9... Well, we can at least do a little bit of damage on the way out. So Fira Chakram is another one of the deck's really big important cards. We just didn't find any of our big important cards. We need, we need Chakram, we need Priestess or Shadow Dancer fairly early on, or we can be in for a bad time. So Chakram's a really nifty card that gives all your minions Frenzy, as you saw there. Lets them attack everything around it, plus the big buff, and since it's an artifact, it's a persistent buff that sticks around. But unfortunately, our Shadow Dancer, our only source of healing, has just come far too late, and we weren't able to find a removal for Soul Piercer, so we have just been done in by the ranged. And remember, I did mention early on I was taking a small risk using the Ritual Banishing on the Lion, because I wasn't expecting any, really high priority removal targets from him, but I did mention that that was a risk. Now, I did save the spare one to be able to answer his first Soul Piercer, but, when he put down the second one after having our field cleared so many times, we were just out of luck. Let me try to get one more game with that, as this is a little bit of more of a complex deck, so, well, maybe we'll revisit it later. Let's go ahead and just move on with the next one, since I don't know how much time I have today. So let's just go on, move along right down the line here to the next list on our agenda. Maybe we'll revisit the Swarm deck after we get through the ones I want to. So the next one is Magmar, my second most played faction. I like them a lot. I wouldn't call them my favorite, but they're pretty neat. They are the big, strong, melee-oriented lizards. And that is the really just get-in-your-face version. So let me go ahead and queue right up with that. So this one, Magmar is known for having excellent AoE and control spells, as well as having a lot of, big, in-your-face, tough minions. So this one's focus is on, it's just running a lot of control spells. A lot of control spells to work with Vath. And Vath just, his Bloodborne spell gives him an extra stacking point of attack. So on an empty field, Vath wins, because Vath just gets big while you keep the field clear. So mix that with the Golem tribe, which have a little bit of synergy with each other. These guys provide ramp, and then these two have bond, which is if you have another golem on the field, their effect goes off. So let's see here. It's a bit early. Well, we may want the... Okay, we don't really need 2 metallurgists. But we may want that Dire Tide Frenzy. So metallurgists are good opening play. Things we're really looking... So Ragnarok, he is the 3rd Magmar General. He summons an egg, which is a 0/1 that hatches into a 3/1 Ripper with Celerity. Celerity lets it move and attack twice, which is very strong if he puts buffs on it. So things that we really want to be looking for in this matchup is we really want to be digging out our Rush minions so that we can kill our Rush minions and or Plasma Storms. That way we can kill his eggs before they have a chance to hatch. So we're going to toss away a few of our spare golems here in the hopes of finding some good answers to eggs. Alright, so this is Wanderer Ragnarok, which is the widely accepted...
How do you tell it's Wanderer? Is it the little green thing in the corner?
So when you hover over his general, you can see below his picture there the Trial of Mythron completed. And that will tell you it's one of the various trial cards, which are...
And the only one you can have completed at the start is Wanderer?
Right. It also just tells you what it is. Mythron is Mythron Wanderer. Okay. Alright, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and toss this Metallurgist. Anyway, it's widely accepted as one of, if not the best decks in the game. It revolves around Mythron Wanderer, which is a 6 mana, 6/6, that when you play it, everything you play, including it after that, gets a +1/+1, which is especially potent with Ragnar's ability to summon eggs and rippers because they also get the buff. So, anyways, because I'm player 2 and I've got a good 3-drop, I'm going to go ahead and replace this Metallurgist. Again, okay, so, eggs, our Rush and Dire Tide Frenzy is going to be very useful in cleaning up eggs, so that's what we're going for right now. So, as player 1, usually, that's the typical plays. You saw my last game, but, you go up and you contest the globes. You always want to contest the globes, because even if you don't... This is true. I've been playing very little because of that card. Even if you're not really planning on using the globes, you want to be contesting them. That way you can deny them from your opponent should the opportunity present itself. Sometimes you'll take the globe right away. Sometimes you'll leave it there to give yourself the chance of having an additional globe, which is... what I opted for this time.
Why would you opt to let him have both of those?
I didn't opt to... What I did was I gave myself the opportunity to almost for sure get one of these 2 globes. Whereas had I put that Ragebinder anywhere else, I wouldn't have been able to get a globe next turn to get to a 5-drop. However, he did manage to pull off very unlikely combo and clear the Ragebinder. With 4 health and Rebirth, which is, as you saw, it turns into an egg and rehatches the next turn, it was very unlikely he was going to be able to clear it. But, sometimes stuff happens. It means now we're also down all of our golems. Since we don't have a golem on field, I'm going to go ahead and just replace that Boulder Breacher. Alright, that's not so bad. We'll go ahead and just use the Elucidator to clean up his field, because it'll potentially transition into a Dire Tide next turn. So we're going to go over here, clean up that Herald with minimum damage to the Elucidator, and we're going to clear this Maw. It's fairly important to try and keep Ragnar's field clear, because once Wanderer hits, which will happen at 6 mana,
you don't want it to give everything.
You don't want everything on the field to suddenly get a buff. So, we're just doing our best to keep the field clear. And we're also going to have to be pretty aggressive in this game. Normally, you're not terribly aggressive with Bath, because the longer the game goes on, the stronger he gets. But versus Wanderer, the longer the game goes, the more likely he will be to outvalue you. Alright, so we have an excellent Plasma Storm turn here, which we're going to take advantage of. We don't really need... Well, we may want these spare Saber-Tine Tigers, because this matchup in particular, we're going to be wanting those to clear eggs. So it's going to be pretty hard for us to effectively use a natural selection, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it away. Well, maybe not. Maybe I will hold on to it just because it's good removal. So we're going to go ahead, going to go for our Plasma Storm, and we're going to keep being as aggressive as we can here. Because, again, normally you wouldn't attack with Vath until he had at least 3 attack, but this is a bit of a special case where we really need to be as aggressive as we can here, because we are on a bit of a ticking clock here. But, our hand is very well prepared to beat him. We have lots of ways to clear his eggs, particularly the Saber Spine Dire-Tide Frenzy combo is extra nasty. It's your budget Macantor. Macantor is one of Magmar's favorite staples, but the ability to have a 4-attack unit with Frenzy and Rush is very nasty, especially when you know Ragnar is going to put out 0-1s or 1-2s for you to actually be able to get 2 hits off of that Tiger. Yes. So the chat is just talking about some other old metas that were not well liked. But we don't need to worry about that too much. Alright, so...
It's been 6 seasons since Wanderer happened?
Yep. So we have some decisions to make. We could go for, a Saber Spine, Dire-Tide Frenzy to clear, but I sort of want to save that for when eggs start hitting. And But of course we do really need to start getting aggressive, and next turn, if there's an empty field and Wanderer's the only thing he plays, I want to be able to hit that with natural selection. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for this. I'm going to go ahead and replace the Cryptographer. I don't really want to, but yeah, we're going to go for this just because we need to start getting as aggressive as we can here, because we are quickly running out of time. So we'll use this Rush Frenzy effect to clear his field and push even more damage. We'll get up here in his face and keep pushing damage. So next turn we're hoping he will play Wanderer. That way we can natural selection it. Natural selection is a little awkward to use a lot of the time because if you have something that's lower attack than what your opponents have, you can't really use it. And especially because Ragnar can just put out eggs, he can also make it really tough for natural selection to work. But since we have the Saber Spine Tiger backup in hand, we can punish a spare. Well, that's most unfortunate. That's going to be pretty hard for us to recover from. He is very low on health, but Akron is very hard on us since we've been forced into the position of having to not get to use our overloads. We're not even close to being able to clear Kron here. Alright, well again, no golems, so that's not going to help us out right now. Well, we are definitely in a bad spot. However, what we can do, since we happen to be at 7 mana, we can go ahead and wipe this field with Plasma and natural selection with Kron and keep going face. Again, unfortunately, we still won't get to use our Bloodborne spell. But this is just a very sort of a special case match where we just really have to keep the pressure on.
So why not use it?
Use what?
Your Bloodborne spell.
We don't have the mana for it. Every turn we've had to use all of our mana doing other things, keeping his field clear and keeping the pressure on. And now, we very well may be able to win next turn, because between Saber Spine Tiger and just going face, that will do it. If he doesn't find another provoke or a heal source, we may have game. Although, if he does just surround himself here, we may not be able to get the rush in. So it's going to be a pretty close game here. Oh, okay, we have our own Earth Sphere, so we have some healing of our own. But if Wanderer comes down, we'll see what happens here. If he doesn't play or provoke, and he doesn't completely surround himself, or he doesn't heal, there's a lot of situations where we can win now. So the other thing about Wanderer, which is why it's so frustrating to play against, is you've noticed I haven't really talked about anything he could be playing as things to play around, like I did with Argion. And that's because Wanderer can only play one of each card in his deck in order to be allowed to play Wanderer. And that's the theoretical drawback that makes Wanderer, that's his trial. All the trials have a different special requirement to be able to play them, and that is his.
So you can never really tell what's going to pop out of that deck.
Exactly.
There's no way to count the cards there.
Nope, unfortunately. Anyway, so let's see here. That Earth Spear was pretty much our worst nightmare, so now we're going to have some trouble killing him. Let's see, I'm going to toss this Rage Binder, as it's just not doing a whole lot right now. Okay, we're just going to keep this aggression going. Oh, although we still really want to... Okay, so we know we're going to overload at this point. Although we know if he drops Wanderer, that's going to be outside of our Sabers. Okay, now this is a very good turn here. Because this has one attack, which is sort of the key when you're using Saber Spine Tiger combos, is to be able to get 2 shots off of that Tiger. You want it to have 1 or less attack to trade into. But so we're just keeping the pressure going here, keeping him really low on health. We have our own massive heal. We're keeping him in the position where if he plays Wanderer, he just dies. So, however, we are also getting low on health, and the longer this game goes on, the scarier it's going to get for us. That was unusual. I would have thought Saberstein Tiger would have used his Frenzy to kill Paragon, like with the...
Yeah, but he wasn't close enough to the Tiger.
No, he was. Like, with Homeostatic Rebuke, well, let's not talk about that. That's a little bit weird and complicated. Alright, so... he's very low on health, but, he's got a big field now, and we don't have much that we can play. So really the only thing we can do now is just see if we can finish him off very quickly here. We don't have anything in our hand that's...
Buff yourself again?
I can buff and heal, but he's going to be able to retreat into he's going to be able to play Wanderer next turn and retreat into a corner and hide.
Yeah.
So, but again, we don't really have... We pretty much have to play the Earth Spear. Otherwise, we're dead, because next turn he's going to have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage potential.
Yeah.
So we had to heal, otherwise we were dead to Wanderer and his board. Now the other decision we need to make now is, do we play the Boulder Breacher?
Well, the deck sure as heck wants you to play it. It keeps giving it to you.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a very bad time to play it. Although if we do play it, it's going to make it harder for him to just hole up in the corner. So let's go ahead, play that.
Also, he can't counterattack, so...
Nope, it's Bond. I didn't have another golem, so its effect didn't get off.
Okay.
Which is why I kept, replacing it early on. So I just threw that out just sort of as a distraction here, because, all we need is one more hit on Ragnarok, and then we win. So if we can draw one of our many sources of removal, or a rush minion, we now win. And I just put... Oh, well, that's most... Well, at least he didn't play Wanderer, but he got his other Provoke that was in the deck. So we are in a pretty bad spot now, unless we manage to find a Plasma Storm. Yeah, pretty much we need to pray for a Plasma Storm, and that is most definitely not a Plasma Storm. Well, unfortunate, but we are not likely to recover at this point. He just managed to play Provokes at just the right time. We haven't managed to find any more field wipes. Now, it's unfortunate. You can't win them all. I was hoping to have a little bit of a better record here for you folks to watch, but that's all right. It's still early. We will probably do a round 2 with everything later on. Alright, so let's see. He's got 4. I'm assuming he plays Wanderer. He's got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. No, yep, we are just unfortunately dead now. Well, to be fair, this is not a regular deck. This is a budget deck. You know, he's playing the full Wanderer lineup, complete with all the epics and legends like Kron and Bone Reaper and the like, and he just drew very well. Well, so that's the thing, though. He didn't beat me without Wanderer. I constantly forced him into a position where he would lose if he played Wanderer. But Wanderer's very existence forced me to play really awkwardly this entire game. You know, the fact that he had Wanderer as an option forced me to play really awkwardly. That combined with his excellent draws and well-timed provokes, and you know, he top decked better than I did. Despite that, theoretically, he should have a much harder time top decking than I, since you know I have 3x copies of everything and he's only got 1. But you know, sometimes that happens, and you know, this is why people are not a big fan of Wanderer in general, because it's a very, very high rolly deck that, you know, Wanderer itself is really, really strong, so even if they draw poorly, it does well, but when they draw well, it's just not even a fair match. And that's just unfortunately how it went. You know, I did my best. It was a pretty close game there. But sometimes you just don't get what you need, and they do get what they need. But again, so you know, we'll revisit Magmar's or Vath and Swarm in a bit. But let's just keep going through, because you know, this isn't about winning. This is about just trying to teach some basic fundamentals, showing how the decks work, giving you some good examples. You know, you can't win every game. That's just how it is, especially early on in the season. You know, this is the first day of the season, so I'm fighting all my other S-rank players, and you know, they're not taking it easy. They're playing their best decks to try and ladder up as quick as possible, and I'm playing with some budget decks to be friendly. So let's move right along the line here. Well, we just lost to Ragnarok. Let's pull out our own Ragnarok list and see how that goes. Well, no, it was still Wanderer that won him that game, as weird as that may sound, despite that he never played it. Its existence forced me to play very awkwardly, because at any point he could drop it, and I had to constantly put him in a position where he couldn't drop it. And that's just what you have to do versus Wanderer. You have to be really aggressive and keep the pressure up, because in the long game, you know, Wanderer will outvalue you. So you really have to be careful about giving them globes so they can't get it early. You really have to keep the pressure up. You really have to be keeping their field clear before Wanderer. You know, Wanderer is just really overpowered right now. So, you know, there's a lot of things you have to do that are really awkward. Well, so Vath is unfortunately one of the natural counters to this deck, but that's alright. We still have, the budget version in particular actually has some very strong tools to beat Vath that, you know, my more expensive ones often don't have. To answer Archer's question, is it still a thing? Yes. Is it terribly common? No. And that's a good thing. It's probably the only thing I dislike more than Wanderer. But anyways, so let's focus on the game at hand. Alright, so this deck, at its core, wants to focus on its OTK abilities. Alright, so we have a good portion of our combo. Although, because we're up against Vath, going for the full combo is not very practical, because it just doesn't work out. Because if they have more than 2 attack, you can't use Ragnar's fancy combo. So, let's see here. We don't have any other golems in hand. It's a bit early for that. And I really want to look for an opening play. I'm still going to sort of hold on to this, just because it's still, I still want to show you guys. Okay, we even have the EMP now, but unfortunately we are still lacking. EMP is important in this matchup because it's just good against Vath. But let's see here. So again, we're still really just trying to find ourselves an opening play. We have 9 good ones, so the math works out to like 85+% of the time if you run 9 2-drops and get one. I still have a replace here, so let's see. Vath doesn't tend to run a lot of minions, so we can... Okay, well, a little unfortunate that we didn't get an opening play, but on the bright side, we actually have the potential to even combo against Vath now that we have greater fortitude with the Abjugator. So our starting hand's a little awkward here, but it may pay off in the long game. We're playing the long game right now, trying to set up for our one-turn kill. And we're holding it, we have the EMP to, set Vath back a bit here. In turn 2, we can play Abjugator. Well, not today, Archer. Today I'm showing off my budget decks, and so maybe after we're finished with that we can talk about it. But I also really, really loathe spell high variants. So, although cheat, I can play Arcanist effectively, so I suppose I may be able to pull that out. But again, let's worry about that later on and focus on the current task at hand. Alright, so... Ooh, it's Hulk. Fancy. Alright, so it's a pretty good Abjugator turn, although we really want to hold out for an Egg-Morph. But at the same vein, there's not much benefit in playing a Celebrant right now. Although, let's see here. Now, we'll play the Abjugator just because it's a good play right now. Let's go ahead and play a fairly defensive Abjugator. Get the majority of our hand reduced here, which we're going to hold out for the combo. So, right, so how this deck works, I explained it on the thread, is, it's all about getting Thumping Wave, Greater Fortitude, and Egg-Morph in your hand, which then, combined with your Bloodborne spell, allows you to do a 20 damage out of hand combo. With the second Greater Fortitude, and that is assuming your opponent has less than 2 attack on their general. With Vath, that's very unlikely, so we got a little lucky by getting the double Fortitude, but we're still lacking the Egg-Morph. So, unless we find an Egg-Morph fairly soon, it's still going to be a really tough and awkward game. But, that was a very oddly placed Lightbender there. He may just be a newish player. He's doing some odd things here, but that's alright. Alright, so we may want the ramp from that Celebrant, although the Ragebinder is a stronger play. So we're going to replace the Celebrant because that's the opening play we needed. It's not what we want to be looking for now. Oh, yeah. So I think we're just going to clean up his field. So let's clean this up and develop our own. We're going to play around Frenzy, because Frenzy is something you always want to play around, particularly versus Magmar. So we'll play our Ragebinder aggressively, and we'll play our Ripper Egg here. And because he's running Biometric Hulk, it's pretty unlikely that he's running Plasma and or Natselek, or at least that he has them right now. So, if we're lucky, he won't be able to clear the Ripper Egg, and he'll walk into range of it. If he does that, then we can just go ahead and combo him, even without the Egg. I suppose I could have done that differently. I could have potentially played the Ragebinder on the tile, but then it would have just died to the Slithar. Instead, I just played around the Macantor as best as I could, rather than guaranteeing the death of my Ragebinder. But, yep, that is... So, as I mentioned, Rush and Frenzy is something you always want to play against versus Magmar, and the best way to do that is to sort of stagger yourself like this. That way, they can't really hit you with it effectively. Well, we definitely have an awkward hand right now. So we can get an egg from our Rage Binder, or we could alternatively just go for a Thumping Wave to try and clean up here. I think we may go ahead and do that. It's another very awkward play, but we can use the Thumping Wave to... Which do we really want to clear here? Well, it's an awkward play, but we're going to go for it. We're going to Thumping Wave this Mecanter. We're going to come down here. We're going to pull the Rage Binder back a touch. That way it's out of range of everything he can attack it with. And we'll let the bunny kill itself off on the Rage Binder. Again, our hand's been pretty awkward here. We're still lacking an Egg-Morph, but at the same time, if we can just stall until 8 mana, which is a risky proposition against Vath because he often will play Saurian Finality on you. You really want to avoid, if you can, Vath getting to that much mana, but again, we're doing what we can here. And we continue to be plagued with some unfortunate hands here. Well, we will get EMP next turn, and that will help. Let's see, I think we're just going to set up a defensive Propagate and just double clear that Visioner and body block with the Rage Binder and hope that we don't get Mecantered again. Alright, use this to body block, develop our egg. Use both of our Lava Lances to awkwardly clear this Visionaire. And now we just sort of cross our fingers and hope we don't get Mecantered or something like that. He's already used one, so it's less likely you'll have a second. And, there's the potential we could just win next turn if he stays in range of this Ripper Egg. And, if we don't get Mecantered, and or he runs away from the Ripper or clears it, we can play EMP, which is going to be pretty strong. Still no Egg-Morph for us, which is really unfortunate. Although, we're almost to the 8 mana point, but at the same vein, if he's running Saurian Finality, which most Vaths do, we may be in for a bad time here. But we'll see what happens. We're doing what we can. It's not a great matchup for us, and we've had a bit of an awkward hand all around. But we may get lucky here. But he's a smart cookie. He made sure to at least step away from the Ripper's lethal range. Now, let's see here. We don't need this Metallurgist. Ooh, actually, we just won, I think.
Yeah?
I think. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, because you can egg that big 10-10 dude?
No. Here, I'll show you in just a minute. Alright. Let's see here. 2, 4, 5. Yep. 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, we just won. So this is what this deck is all about. Versus Vath, it's hard to do. Usually you don't even try for it. Usually you do other things. But he gave us the opportunity, and we are going to take it, because we managed to get that early double Fortitude in hand. We're just going to kill him for near full here. Oh yeah, we are. This is this deck's fancy combo. This is what it's all about. 24 out of hand damage just off of that Ripper. And had it been next turn, we could have just done that with a freshly placed one. That's what that deck's all about.
Good lord, man!
Our hand was awkward, but as I said, we'd been playing the long game for a while. All we needed was that Egg-Morph.
Well, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know you could do that. So when the Rippers die, they just turn back into eggs.
Yes, the Rippers also
and that
have...
thing hatches an egg, like, instantly?
Yes, egg morph. Here, the log version of how that combo works is... So,
yeah, because I need to read the long version. That happened too fast.
Right, so yes, egg morph... So when an egg hatches, it turns into something, and whatever that is can now act immediately. For Ragnar's Rippers, they are 3/1 celerity. So celerity means they can move and attack twice. With 1 health, they can't usually hit something twice. But if you buff their health, they're often able to. It's even harder versus Vath because his attack gets above their health range. So how it works is you use Abjugator to discount Egg Morph, Thumping Wave, and Fortitude at some point in the game. Which, as I did it with 3 of those rather than all 4, because, you usually want to make sure you at least have a couple in your hand before you use it, otherwise, it'll take too long. But, so, once they're reduced down to ideally, 6 mana total, or if the game runs late enough, you have more mana available. So then on a turn with 7 mana or more, you use Ragnar's Bloodborne spell to place the egg, which is the Ripper. You use the Egg Morph to hatch the Ripper. And then you use Thumping Wave and the Greater Fortitudes to buff it up to massive levels to where it can just punch the general twice. Now,
so how does it do the whole move twice
celerity
thing?
That's
okay.
what it... Celerity is an effect that Ripper has that allows it to move and attack twice. In that case, he moved out of celerity range, so I couldn't just attack him with it, with the full combo, but because I drew the Egg Morph, and because Rippers also have Rebirth, what I was able to do was I was able to move it up to him, suicide with it, and then use the Egg Morph to bring it back and do the combo like I would have done out of hand.
Man.
So that's what that deck's sort of all about. And, when you can't find the combo, or when you're up against stuff like Vath where it's not feasible, you still have backup plans, just with the solid Golem Shell and, other fun ways to abuse the Rippers. It's still a good deck even without the crazy combo, but when you can pull off your crazy combo, you go for it.
Jeez.
The more traditional combo with Ragnarok is, skipping the Thumping Wave and just doing the Greater Fortitude, because that alone is often a 10 damage burst. But let's move right along here on to Obelisk Vitruvian. So, like the Swarm deck, this is another deck that takes a bit of practice to get used to. The Vath deck and, the Vath, the Fae, and the Argion deck are pretty easy to pick up and go, but Lilith, Ragnarok, and Obelisks take a little bit of practice. So how Obelisks work are they are structures. Structures can neither attack nor move. So you have to be very careful with how you position them. But what Obelisks do is they summon a 2/2 Dervish with Rush around them at the start of each turn randomly. It disappears at the end of your turn, so you have to position your Obelisks in a way that they're close enough to the fight that they can, get value, but not so close that they just get murdered very quickly, since they have no way of defending themselves. And the other tricks the deck have revolves around Dervis Energy and Vitruvian's excellent removal, and of course Accumulonimbus, which used to be a top tier meta deck based around Nimbus, but it got nerfed recently. It's still great on a budget, although it may not make the cut later on, but it's still a solid card all around. But what it does is, well, let me start with my hand here. All right, so Lovestorm's an excellent open. Reassembles also pretty good. This is all around actually a very good hand, although since I do have one Nimbus, I sort of want to dig for another one. So that's going to be my opening play. Fireblaze is too good to replace. Really, this is all too good to replace, but we're going to go ahead and toss these away. Alright, now we're up against Kalios. No, we're just going to hold on to all of this. This is all just really good. We have an opening play. We have excellent Dervish synergy. We have Yeah, we're just going to hold on to this. So that I was saying, so Nimbus, how Intensify works is, so the first time you cast Nimbus, you get 2 Wind Dervishes. The second time you get 4. The third time you get 6. So it gets really scary really fast. So Lava Storm Obelisk has a fun effect that it does, at the start of your turn, it does 6 damage to all enemies in a row. Rows are horizontal, columns are vertical. So with Lava Storm, you usually use it to sort of deny the middle globe's access. So you have 2 options. You can either play it defensively, a little bit more towards the back, so its effect is more potent. It only has 4 health, so it's very fragile, or you can play it more offensively. Now, usually I'm inclined to play Lava Storm defensively, but because I have Reassemble, which allows you to reposition an obelisk later on, I'm going to go ahead and throw it forward, just because it can get a lot of value right here, and if it starts to get in danger, I can reassemble it and move it somewhere else. Well, it can't move anyways, so that doesn't affect us too much. Alright, let's see here. Kalios is known for having a lot of things that you need to remove, so I don't really... Yeah, we still really don't want to replace anything. But at the same time, that key beholder is a nuisance. The budget version doesn't have a whole lot of ways to deal with a ranged unit like that. Although if we move up there, we'll likely be able to kill it with Nimbus soon enough. So I think we're just going to move on up here, use our own body to block this Lava Storm. And let's see here. Let's deny this globe from him. Now we're going to replace the Sand Swirl. If he's playing the range... Okay, Blood of Air is much better. That's what we want right now. That'll allow us to theoretically clear it next turn here. So let's just make sure he doesn't have access to this globe, and let's get some threats out here. So Dunecaster is an excellent card for any Dervish-focused deck, because more gives the Dervish +2/+2, which is a pretty big deal, but more importantly, it keeps your Wind Dervishes from disappearing if they get that buff. So we're just, developing a board, pushing some damage, because this deck usually wants to play pretty aggressively. And so Blood of Air is Vitruvian's staple removal. It transforms an enemy unit into a Wind Dervish under your control. So ideally, he plays something fairly close to the Key Beholder, we Blood of Air it, and we get to kill both it and the Key Beholder in one swing here. And because we have access to these globes, we should have the mana to do so. But it does depend where he plays things. We'll see what happens here. He's just doing his best to clean my field up. Yes, if he plays something close to it, we can just go for the Blood of Air. And he did, so we have an excellent Blood of Air turn. Now, well, we won't worry about deal time. So we're just going to deny this globe from him, while also getting ourselves to a nice 5 mana to use this Blood of Air, and we get 2 for 1 here. Trade this in, and we're just going to go ahead and be the aggressor here. Let's see. Our hand's still looking pretty good. We're probably going to want to use Reassemble next turn. I don't know if we're really going to need this Falcius, but he's awfully strong, so I'm hesitant to replace him. We still have plenty of time to look for additional Nimbuses, but we do sort of want to start digging for them, because that's one of this deck's big win cons. And since we're probably not playing Falcius next turn, I'm going to go ahead and toss him away and start digging for our extra Nimbus or a spare Blood of Air or the like. Because next turn we're probably going to be doing Fire Blaze and Reassemble, since this thing's going to get at least 1 attack on it. And, the other thing is, we really want to start looking for another Sand Swirl or another Blood of Air so that we can kill any big thing that Kallios puts out, since Kallios does have a habit of running a lot of really big minions, big, slow, clunky things, because he can give them the mobility they need. So, skill is more important than card quality, although, while that used to be really true, it's diminished a little bit in recent days. Decks have become more refined, and there are a lot more really powerful cards out there. That's a little harder to play on a budget, but still, skill is the most important thing in any given match. Alright. We may just go for, we really want to go for the reassemble here, but we don't want that to stick around any longer. Let's see. So if we sacrifice the Lava Storm, since it has, let's see, we could get 3, 4. Alright, we'll do it this way. So let's come down here. Oh wait, no, we need to stay in range. Alright, let's see where this Iron Shroud spawns itself before making any other decisions. Okay, so still no. Let's see what card we draw. Okay, we don't need 2 of those. Alright, well, we'll just Fire Blaze in a way that denies his access to the globe. And now we will use the super buffed up Dervish to clear this out. We've denied his access to the globe. We boxed him in fairly well. And we're getting him... yes, Wanderer is a good noob tube card as well, but I am reluctant to recommend it for a couple of reasons. A, it's not very fun. B, it's pretty expensive to make. And C, it's very likely to get nerfed. So take his advice with a grain of salt there. And as much as people like to bash on Wanderer for its many problems, it is a high skill cap deck. It is a deck that requires a lot of skill to run. But just because something requires skill to run doesn't make it healthy or balanced. So I'm reluctant to recommend it, but it is not a bad option. I do recommend that you buy, 1 Mythron orb for the chance of getting it for free. Oh my, Valhalla has a fairly dirty recommendation there, but that could work, yes. I suppose you could just start a brand new account every time until you lucked out and got it.
That's dirty poo.
It would really only work if they truly were brand new. Well, he's cleaned up the field real nice there, but that's okay. Alright, well, Falcius will clean that up nice. We don't need the card advantage or the reach of Shriek, so it can go. Yep, I think Falcius is just our best bet right now. Let's again see where the Shroud spawns before we make a decision. And we'll just keep the pressure up here, keep his field clear. We're still just holding onto this Nimbus for a good opportunity to use it, or, if we do find a second one, then we'll be a little bit more inclined to start going ham with it. Right. Another Flame Wreath. We played right into it too, given we didn't have a lot of control over that. I'm sort of still just trying to contest this globe. But it is becoming less and less practical. This goes on. Okay, so we have a fun play that we can do here. We can use this globe with the fire blaze, which gives all dervishes a +1, so that's really nice. And more importantly, we can now Blood of Air this Flame Wreath and use it to clear this Kaido. Our hand's still pretty good. I think we're still just gonna... I mean, we really do want to try and dig for another Blood of Air or a Sand Swirl. Because, again, he's likely to keep playing big things, but... No, this hand is still good. Nimbus is still decent, just standalone. You know, we can do Nimbus and Falcius as a turn together, and that should clear just about anything, especially with the Fireblaze out. With the Fireblaze here, we may want to use this Reassemble. Plus, since Reassemble draws you a card, it can help us dig for the Nimbus. So we're just going to hold on to what we got and just keep biding our time here. Now, and we may play the Wind Shriek, just because, you know, he's in the position where he's going to probably start trying to run away. So we can play this to make running away impractical, and, you know, it draws us a card if it dies. But, you know, Nimbus and Shriek's a pretty solid turn, or Falcius and Shriek, you know, we'll see what happens. Battle Panda's obnoxious. Let's see here. But we may be able to just kill him. Let's see. 3, 6... And assuming we get good Nimbus spawns, we... Oh, we still need decent spawns. Yeah, let's just go the aggressive route here. Oh, wait, actually, I think I have a way to guarantee this. Yeah, alright, so a little awkward, Okay, so Nimbus summons them randomly around you. So anywhere but this square, we'll be able to go over and hit him. So we will reassemble our obelisk and put it in that one square that we don't want anything to spawn in. And now we can use the Nimbus with guaranteed good spawns to finish him off. And there we go. So that's just how Obelisk Vet plays. But, you know, again, it's another pretty advanced deck because there's a lot of positioning you need to learn to be able to do it effectively. You know, placement of obelisks is really important. You know, using Nimbus efficiently requires you to have your general placed optimally. You know, it's a very strong deck, but it definitely takes some practice to get used to, whereas, you know, the others are a little easier to pick up. And Swarm is not as difficult as Obelisks, but, you know, there's still a lot going on with it, and, you know, especially as a new player, it can be pretty discouraging to get hit by a Tempest turn 2 like I did that one time. So, but, it, you know, again, it really just comes down to personal preference. You know, whatever you like, you like. Play what's fun for you before you worry about anything else. But let's move right along the line now on to my mid-range Fae deck. So this is another deck that's pretty good for new players. It is a little bit fancier as it's got some positional elements, but the positional elements in it are not that difficult to use. So this deck, it's got a healthy amount of control. You know, you've got a lot of Dispel, which can be used in combo with your Moose. You know, you've got your AoE and Frostburn, you've got your hard removal with Cryo, but basically this deck is just put down big fat bodies, be aggressive, and, you know, use Phase Bloodborne spell to burn them down and just push them, you know, overwhelm them with high value units and mini combos. And Wailing Overdrive is the deck's other big fancy trick, where, you know, you can give something a +5/+5 if it's on your opponent's side of the field. So to facilitate that, you really need to be pushing to get to your opponent's side of the field and making sure you keep them there. So with this hand, I'm going to replace the Minos because it's a little early for it, and we have a fun line of play. So heralds our turn 1 into our turn 2 Moose, which can then the stun that is on him. The following turn we can dispel him. So this is one of the deck's favorite tricks here. Do a turn 2 Moose, then dispel the Moose. Although versus okay, so I happen to have a pretty good idea what this guy is playing. So normally versus Saj, Saj, Faye is a pretty good counter as it is, because her Bloodborne spell just does damage to the enemy general, which breaks artifacts. Saj likes to play artifacts, so that's the main thing you need to know when you're up against Saj is, she likes to play artifacts. So EMP is a high priority find since it destroys all artifacts. And the other thing is, Cryptographer's important to sort of hold on to because you can use it in combination with Faye's Bloodborne spell to ping them off. So we are going to replace for... we do want to look for an EMP. It's very important. But we may get a chance to use this overdrive, so I'm going to hold on to it. 2 Benders is a little overkill, but the reason I was hesitant to replace them is because I know he's playing... what's it called? It's a card that when he destroys one of your minions, it summons a structure under your control that does damage to you every turn. And you can dispel the drawback on it with the Benders, so that's nice. But, we really need to find an EMP, because that's pretty important for us. We already have 1 Bender here. Spine Cleaver, that's what it's called. So I pretty well know what his deck is. Dispel and Ping is key to beating it. But yeah, so we're trying to dig as hard as we can for EMP, because that's going to be the most crucial card we can find that will lead to us winning. We probably don't need this Free Blade, but Basilisk is probably not going to do a whole lot, because he doesn't run a ton of spells in the first place, and, he's pretty good at just killing the Basilisk. The Free Blade's tricky, so we're going to replace that, keep digging for it, but yeah, let's just go for our turn 2 Moose here, use it to deny the globe, and we'll call that good. And, next turn we can Lightbender, or maybe do a Wailing Overdrive on the Herald. We'll see what happens here. He very well may be about to play his Spine Cleaver, but we'll see here. Not much reason in me attacking, so I'm not going to. I have other ways to clear that, so we're just going to hang tight. If there's not a reason for you to attack with your general, you usually shouldn't. Especially, you don't want to just attack a minion in front of you just because, he might just attack into the Moose, and that would make the damage we did onto that sort of pointless. Alright, so we sort of knew that was going to happen, and we have some choices to make here. We can go for the Moose play, or we can, again, okay, I'm going to replace this Free Blade, because again, we really, really want to try and find ourselves an EMP. Yeah, Bender is probably our best bet here. So let's use Bender on the globe, just so we can have the globe and can clean his field up nicely. Unfortunately, as this is Vitruvian, it's unlikely this Moose is going to stick. So I may alternatively... Well, I also really want to break that. Yeah, we'll just hold off on the Moose. We'll develop a red steel instead, just because overcommitting to 1 minion's not wise, and we can alternatively just clear that with Minos and friends here. Alright, so we'll Minos, Bloodborne spell, which will buff the Minos up real nice. And then we can attack Saj with our face here, and clean that artifact the rest of the way off. Moose will unstun itself next turn, so we don't really need to self-dispel it. So at the moment we're just going to hold off that Lightbender until there's something we can dispel on the enemy's side, or, you know, get a couple totems in one go here. Frigid Corona used to be really important in this matchup, but unfortunately you can't stun generals with it anymore, so it's just an alright soft CC card now. But, you know, we're making sure to develop a couple threats at a time, because Vitruving is notorious for having very good single target removal here. So we're just trying to make sure he's going to have a tough time clearing our field. And, you know, if one of them sticks, then we may be in the position for an excellent Wailing Overdrive turn.
Well, right. So for going against factions with good single target removal, you want to make it hard for them to pick a target?
Yes, that's generally a good plan. And the other thing
and make it so that no matter which target they pick, they're still going to have a bad time.
Right. And the other thing is, you know, with buffs in general, is you don't want to play them unless you get to use them right away. Right. You know, I had the opportunity to play an Overdrive on that Moose, but then that would have been me overcommitting, and had that Moose gotten removed, I'd just be screwed.
Yeah.
Alright, so there's the spare Spine Cleaver. This is sort of what we saved our Lightbender for. That way we can dispel 2 of these here. Alright. 2 Overdrives is a bit overkill. Let's see here. Where's the best spot to play this Lightbender? It's going to be right here, because we can get like a 3-for-1 with it, and that's a pretty good deal. So we'll Lightbender off these obnoxious tiles, which will also dispel that. And then I also need to choose, unfortunately he's still going to be able to get a new tile off of that bender, but well, that's alright. I'm going to keep just contesting the globe with the Moose. Because more than likely he's just going to come over to clear the bender, which will keep the Moose in range still. Yeah, let's just clear this and contest the globe, giving us the most options. Now, the biggest thing to know about when playing against Saj is her favorite card that pretty much any Saj will run is Wildfire Ankh. And that is a card, it's a 3-mana artifact that gives them Blast, which gives them a ranged attack that does damage to everything in a line, either horizontal or vertical, not diagonal. So, I have screwed up a tiny bit here, lining up like this. Perhaps I should have played around that a little bit better and been right here. That way he couldn't hit the Bender and Fae with a Wildfire Ankh, which is fairly likely for him to have. I should have put myself right here. Okay, well it looks like at least I'm not going to get punished by Ankh, so that's something. Alright, if he doesn't clear that Bender, though, we may have the opportunity for a nice Hearthsister Wailing Overdrive turn. Okay. Alright, but yeah, we're going to replace this Corona, because it's just not doing much for us right now. Especially not 2 of them. Now we're still looking for those EMPs. Remember, the Bloodfire totems are under your control, so you can't just attack them to kill them, but they at least do extend your reach, letting you, play things next to them. Alright, so we'll toss one of these, because it's just not doing much for us right now. Ooh, there's that EMP, so that'll be very good for us very soon. So let's go ahead and get our Wailing Overdrive play in, because that'll be real nice here. I'm going to put it down. I want to put it in a spot that's really awkward for him to deal with. If I put it right here, it's going to be hard for him to escape it. So yep, let's go for that. That'll be a pretty big threat. Let's move it even farther back here. That way he can't trade into it with the metallurgists here. And just really push some damage. And then, since we have an EMP coming down soon, I just want to sort of clear some distance here. So I'm just going to come up here out of Wildfire Ankh range. And just keep my distance and transition into my EMP turn. He has to answer this turn or he dies. Which, given he can just answer it with Falcius and Metallurgist, so. Okay, there was something I could have potentially done a little bit better here. I could have... never mind. No, we're just trying to get him to overextend into a nice EMP turn. We're playing around Wildfire Ankh as well as we can. Nothing is in the same row or column. We're trying to just keep face safe, and we're just pushing damage. Long term, Warbird is going to be really hard on him. This turn is probably just going to consist of him clearing with Falcius and Metallurgist to get rid of this Bender that's given him so much trouble right now. Let's put in something over by me. Oh, an Aymara. Luckily, we can reduce that a bit with EMP. Again, we're going to replace one of these Coronas. That was a little bit strange. I don't know why he did that, but oh. Oh, right, that one was dispelled. Never mind, it made perfect sense why he did that. Alright, so let's toss that away. Yep, no, my best option is still just play EMP and hope that works. So we'll play it. Let's play it. Actually, we're in a bit of a tough spot now. So we can either put the EMP up close-ish here. That way it can kill the Aymara for us next turn, or alternatively, we can keep it away from the Aymara, that way he can't, trade into it with the Aymara. But because of Blood of Air being a thing, I don't want to eat 2 damage, so we're going to play this away from my face, over here, where it's an immediate threat. We've dispelled the Bloodfire Totems, we've killed her artifacts, we've also dispelled the Aymara. Although that's very unlikely. I don't think we've seen a single Sand Swirl or Blood of Air, so I'd be very surprised if the EMP lives. But that's alright, Yep, I'm going to come here this way again. If he does, do a Wildfire Ankh play, that way he can't hit the Bloodfire and myself. So, yep, alright. We're just... that Aymara is going to hurt just trading into our face, but, we've got him in a reactive position again. We have ways to deal with this Aymara, namely Hearth Sister, or, we can just stun it for a while. We're doing what we can. Well, he may not actually have a hard removal for this EMP. I mean, if he had it, I'm sure he would have done it by now. He's looking. Well, that's a good sign, because he's dead to EMP and Warbird, if he doesn't have anything else. Oh, yep, there's the Sand Swirl, but Sand Swirl at least gives it back to us, which is very handy. But he's healing up a bit here, and our health's also... Okay, we don't really need this Light Bender. Okay, we have a pretty good Frostburn opportunity here. Yeah, that's a pretty good Frostburn. Let's just go for the Frostburn. Clean up real nice. Clear this so he no longer has anything close enough to us to do any harm. And use our Warbird just to push damage. It's a real neck and neck game here, but having an EMP in our hand is a good deal for us. I'm going to be right back. Alright, I have returned. Sorry about that. These frigid Coronas just keep showing up. But that's fine. Because they recycle themselves, especially this late in the game, now that I'm going to have the mana to use them, that's fine. He knows I have an EMP in hand, which is a big pain for him to deal with. And I play a better ranged game with Warbird spam than he does, even with Ankh. Although my health is very low here. We do have our own Azure Heralds in the deck, so we may replace into them soon. Well, it's been a pretty fun game either way. But it's not over yet. I think we're slightly in favor now. Just, we have an EMP in our hand, we have digging power, and we play a better ranged game. Although he hasn't played any Ankhs yet. Of course, he knows if he plays an Ankh, it'll just get broken by the EMP.
Yeah, so it could be he's just saving them all.
Yes. Curious, he's going to go stand on his tile? I mean, that means he may not have any minions in hand, and he's just going to try to keep me away from it. Okay. Well, I can just play EMP again. I am going to replace one of these Coronas since he didn't even play a minion this turn, unfortunately. Alright, let's see here. I think EMP to Globe Deny is our best bet. Keep pushing damage with the Warbird. So we've Globe Denied. We're going to step out of range of the spot where he can hit us with Wildfire Ankh. Even if he does body block the EMP, we have a Hearth Sister. If I didn't have the Hearth Sister, I would have been less inclined to put the EMP where he could body block it. But because I can reposition it, I wanted to keep him away from that mana tile. Alright, and now we have our Herald here, so I can heal up a bit. You may also make the mistake of having a removal for the EMP and opting to body block because he thinks he's safe. Since I have already used at least one Hearth Sister. Actually, I can find out exactly how many because I have T2K's handy script here. Okay, yeah, I've only used one Hearth Sister.
Wait, can't you just kill him with the EMP?
I can, but it's not my turn.
Right. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I should be paying better attention, but unless I look at the enemy turn button, it doesn't look very much like it's somebody else's turn.
Yeah. And while Sand Swirl is good at stalling EMP, he still really doesn't like having EMP in my hand either. Yep, I think he has made the mistake of body... Well, it may not have been a mistake. He may just not have had a way to to deal with it. And now we just get that nice little Hearth Sister win.
So what, Hearth Sister's like opening play is she can swap places with something?
With anything.
Anything?
Yours or your opponent's units.
Okay.
So she's very tricky. And she's pretty important for this deck because we use stuff like Wailing Overdrive.
Right, because isn't Faye's like thing trying to get on your opponent's side and put them on your side?
So this deck, uses Hearth Sister for 3 reasons. 1, it's just a good effect. As you saw, just moving stuff around is strong. 2, her spell does damage to everything in a vertical line.
Right.
So you can use Hearth Sister to make sure you get damage with her spell. And then lastly, more importantly, Wailing Overdrive, which only works on your opponent's side of the field. So that went well. It was a fun, exciting game, neck and neck for a long time, given we really did have a pretty hard counter. Like, between Faye and us running our EMPs and Dispel, he was going to have a pretty tough time versus us regardless, but, he put up a very good fight. He made it very challenging. That was a lot of fun. All right, so let's move on to my last one. Well, I guess technically I have some Songhai ones, but I don't know if I really want to play them right now. We'll see. Well, moving on to Bond Argion, the classic Lioner archetype. It's pretty straightforward. Play big stuff, play Divine Bond on it, win.
Yeah, that sounds pretty straightforward.
I need to make sure it's updated in my client here real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, that looks current. Just didn't change the name. Alright, so we're up against Faye now. It's a little early for EMP, although this is a matchup where EMP may be very important. Because the thing that Vanar is known to do is to play lots of walls. And walls are very scary because there's a lot of cards that... Well, thanks for stopping by, Valhalla. There's a lot of cards that can really buff them and make them do crazy things. But if you dispel a wall, it just disappears. So EMP is a very good counter to that, but at 7 mana as player 1, that's a long ways off, because it's our only dispel in the deck. I'm going to hold on to it for now. It's also a bit early for Divine Bond. You really want to look for a nice turn 2 play here. So it's a bit early for Divine Bond, especially because Vanar also tends to have decent single target removal. So we have the Afterblaze, so I'm going to toss the Divine Bond for now. Look for another early game play here. Until we can figure out whether he is a wall deck or not, I'm going to sort of hold on to this EMP. I don't really need this Healing Mystic right now, although if he's aggro, I may want all the healing I can get. But right now, I'm really wanting to find stuff like Soul Piercer, or Silverguard Knight, or Sun Wisp. I'd rather open with this... We'll toss the Sunrise, because that's a better body to open with. And if he reveals his hand as aggro, we can, life stream up a Healing Mystic for extra health if need be. But right now, we're just trying to find some of our early game minions, which were just not fighting. So, because, Faye is known to play either aggro, walls, those are the most common things. I'm sort of holding on to healing and my EMP until I figure out what she's playing. And, well, here's the walls I was talking about. But just because she's playing Gravity Well doesn't necessarily tell us she's playing a wall deck. Gravity Well is just a solid card by itself. So, actually, this might be my deck. So I think I'm the only person that ever plays Shivers. Hold on, let me ask him. Is that my deck? Even if it is my deck, you probably won't tell. But the fact they played double Gravity Wells and Shivers, that's a pretty good idea that it's indeed a proper wall deck. So I'm going to be holding on to this EMP. Well, really awkward. We still haven't found anything real useful to play yet. I mean, we could Afterblaze, but it's a bit of a waste. There's really no sense in live streaming. Well, for lack of something better to do, I guess we'll just Afterblaze this Healing Mystic. It's a terrible play. You don't normally want to use a buff on something, a non-Zeal minion that can't attack right away, but we just don't have anything else to do, and I don't want to waste my entire turn. Yeah, well, that's exactly why you don't usually want to use a buff unless they can attack right away. Yeah, he's ramping like a madman, so we're going to need that EMP. Or well, hopefully we can live long enough to use the EMP. Alright, so Cliff's a good next turn. Windblade's not bad right now. May play the live stream just for, again, lack of something better to do here. So let's toss you out. Go ahead and live stream up a second one, just, not waste our mana. That gives us something to place. Okay, good. Lots of EMPs. That's exactly what we want to see. We're using all our mana effectively this turn. We're doing our best to clean up his field as well as we can here. If we can hold out till 7 mana, we can really start hard countering what he's doing. Next turn we have a nice Iron Cliff Guardian. But he has done a lot of ramping. And if he makes it to 8... I don't have any idea what he... I mean, he says it's my deck, but... Alright, well, let's see here. Right, Mystic can go. Well, that Seraphim's definitely going to hurt. Especially if he's running Spirit. Well, I think let's just make him at least scared of Divine Bond here. And now, perhaps I should have just provoked the Seraphim. Okay, it wouldn't have mattered. Although, yeah, if he's got a Spirit of the Wild, that's gonna hurt. Gonna hurt a lot. Well, you can live stream that just to get another provoke. If he is a wall deck, we really still need to hold on to those EMPs. Alright, what we don't need right now is this Tiger. let's just go ahead and start clearing off these gravity wells. Let's play an Iron Cliff. Let's play it defensively. That way we potentially can life stream it back to life here. Although if I play it too defensively, it's not going to be terribly useful. Now let's play it close to the threat and just make it awkward to attack. Keep it simple. Oh. Saying well played, that's... well, he may also have a Spirit of the Wild. Let's see, 8, 19, 11, 12, 15... Oh, never mind, he's just got game there. Well, I did my best, but yeah, he had a excellent hand. That double gravity well open, plus lots of ramp. Did me in. We had a very awkward start. Did not get any of our early game stuff when we didn't get our silver guards. It's very awkward. Well, alright, I'll play one game with the Reva deck as well. And then I'll go through and try to grab a second game with the decks that didn't get a great match. So, unfortunately, sometimes that happens, Sometimes they can just answer all your big minions and burst you down. Alright, so moving on to just budget Songhai. Don't feel not quite up to playing the Kalios right now, but we'll play the Reva deck. It is sort of a budget good stuff spell high list. Has some spell synergy with 4 Winds, Blood Range Mask, and Chakri. Runs quite a few spells. Healthy amount of draw and fun little ways to abuse Reva's Bloodborne spell. Alright, so we're up against Lilith here. So we don't really have much AoE in this deck. That's not true. We have Thunderbomb and Twin Strike. So anytime you see Lilith, you do sort of want to be looking for AoE. Alright, I think what we're going to do... Slower for Geomancer, he's not a bad... He's better later on, because early on you actually want to use your Heartseekers. Later on, when they stop being so useful, he's nice. Alright, so we don't want to replace our draw. We don't want to replace our spell synergy. So we're just going to toss the Geo for now. Look for our AoEs like Twin Strike. Okay, it's Wanderer Lilith. So that changes things a bit. It's not just Swarm Lilith, it's Wanderer Lilith. Which is a bit awkward. So, versus Wanderer Lilith, what we're really going to want to do is we're going to want to try to aggro him down, and as well as play the ranged game as much as we can. Now, he's still probably going to be a fairly swarmy deck, so... Alright. Let's go ahead and get a nice early Heartseeker out, and then go from there. Alternatively, I could, have done a Blood Rage Mask this turn, but I don't want my artifact to get broken, so we're just going to get an early Heartseeker out, and we'll go from there. I like the rest of my hand. Blood Rage Mask is great for aggro. This is great for clearing Wraithlings. This replaces itself, and Mist Dragon's just too good to pass up. Yeah, Lilith mostly plays Swarm, Wanderer, or occasionally you'll see sort of a ramp deck. But we have a pretty good idea what we're up against here. Wild Tar. Oh, awkward. very awkward. I'm going to toss this Mist Dragon since I don't really have anything to use with it at the moment. Now let's Twin Strike. Our hand is a little awkward, but let's just go ahead and Twin Strike. Okay, good. It cleared 2 things for us. Let's go ahead and contest this globe. Unfortunately, Wild Tar is going to make trying to aggro him really awkward, because if we attack, it's going to get huge. So we sort of have to just sit here now. Very awkward, but it is what it is. And if we're lucky, he'll attack us with the Wild Tar. That way we can actually clear it off. But we still may be able to just play the ranged game. Yeah, this turn we can Twin Strike and Heartseeker potentially. We'll just have to see what happens here. Well, here's hoping we can replace into a Thunder Bomb. Well, he may move out of Thunder Bomb. Well, no, still a decent Thunder Bomb. Alright, well, this Blood Rage Mask is just not looking practical, unfortunately. Okay, Key Beholder's not bad. We can at least stop that thing from bothering us. For briefly, anyways. Alright, so let's clear a Wraithling. Let's... Well, alright, so we're just going to use this just as a way to extend our Key Beholders. That may not have been wise, actually. Oh well, what's done is done. So I'll play the Key Beholder, lock this down, and then we'll Mist Dragon Seal this to safety, to where it can ideally clear the Wild Tar for us next turn. Even if he does, Heartseeker's an easy clear for him, but he does have to trade a Wraithling to do it. So that works out for us. Now, Wanderer does tend to have some trouble answering ranged units, so that's what we're trying to rely on right now. Unfortunately, he's made aggro very impractical, and his Wanderer turn is swiftly approaching. So next turn, ideally, we clear the Tar with the Holder, clean up some of his Wraithlings with Twin Strike, and then probably play a Crypto and a second Arcane Heart. But, we'll see what happens here. He had a Shroud. It's definitely not good for us, but at least we'll be out of range of the Wild Tar, more than likely here. At least buy ourselves some time. Although if I can't clear that Wraithling, I'm going to toss one of these Blazehounds. That's a shame. Alright, so let's move this up a bit. I pretty much have to rely on RNG right now, which is unfortunate. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So let's clear this. And now let's hope that this Wraithling will die to this Twin Strike, because if it doesn't, we've probably lost. Okay, well, at least one of them died. As long as one of the Wraithlings died, we had a chance. Alright, so now we can clear this. And now we can develop a Heartseeker, which is always nice. And potentially, we'll be able to do some Killing Edge shenanigans with that Heartseeker next turn. I may have been able to position a little bit better around the incoming Wanderer, but I did what I could here. May not be playing Wanderer this turn. That's probably good for us. We'll see. Ooh, that was unexpected and particularly brutal there. Ow! That's just not a card that sees a lot of play outside of Wanderer, but it's very hard to play around everything Wanderers can do, because you never know what they can do. We're still just trying to run away from this Wild Tar. Alright, so we sort of... Alright, now this mask is just unfortunately not going to be terribly relevant. Alright, come down here, clear the Wild Tar. Let's go ahead and... Definitely not looking good for us. Let's see, so I can Chakri. Misdragoning the Chakri is just not practical. Could work, but not well. Let's just draw a card, see where that gets us. Oh, well, that's not bad. Yeah, I guess we will go ahead and go for the Chakri. We'll set the Chakri up fairly defensively here. Alright, clear that. I guess we'll play the Arcane Heart. Yeah, we'll just play it just for the spell proc on the Chakri here. There's our Thunder Bombs. Given we did get our Twin Strikes, which did help out a lot. We just haven't managed to find this deck's favorite combo, which is Inner Focus, Killing Edge, combined with the Arcane Heart. And, we're up against Wanderer, which is always a bit of a bad time. That Paragon really did us in. We were still doing okay until that came down and wiped our whole field. Although Double Thunder Bomb can still do a decent amount of work even after the Wanderer buff. We'll see what happens here. It's not over yet. His health's a little bit low to be able to just walk down and kill them. Well, he can kill with the Crypto, so never mind that. Oh, he's still not going for the Wanderer, which was wise on his part. Letting a Chakri sit around for a turn can really do you in. But, we may yet still be able to just aggro him down. Let's see here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's not a bad turn, because we can do 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we may be able to just win by being a super rude burn deck. Question is where to place the 4 wins. Okay, he's fairly safe up in that corner there. Yep, alright. Oh, let's commit. Oh no! Wait, no, we're fine. We're still fine. Now, we can kill him with a double Thunder Bomb next turn. Because he would have to heal and clear the 4 wins to not die next turn. Let me see. Yeah, he's very likely dead just because we're an obnoxious burn deck.
How does it feel?
It feels gross and dirty. I mean, it's not 8 Gates or Mantra, which are the really nasty ones, but this is definitely still not a deck I'm a big fan of, just because, being able to win with burn, which there's just no counterplay to, is no fun. I'm surprised he never played Wanderer. Well, no, I mean, again, I kept putting him in a position where playing Wanderer could have cost him the game, so, that's just sort of what you have to do versus Wanderer decks. You just really got to keep the pressure up. Unless he has a lot of healing in hand, this is probably it for him. Which Fist does have a fair amount, but alright, I guess Thunder Bombs for the win. Yeah, well, there we go. It's another deck that does take a bit of practice to get used to, because you really got to know where you need to be on the board to use your ranged effectively. You need to know when to use your spells and when to save them, because a lot of trap that new Songhai players will fall into is they'll have a bunch of cheap spells and they'll just play them all and then run out of steam. You sort of want to save your spells for when you really need them, or when you can combo them with one of your spell synergy cards. It's a solid deck. Never did get to do the deck's signature Inner Focus, Bloodborne, Killing Edge, but that's alright. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back and replay the decks that didn't have such a great time. So let's give Bond Argent another shot here. See if we can have a little better luck. Hey Droxane, thanks for stopping by. I'm just playing my budget decks for a YouTube video later. Alright, so gone through all the budget decks that I want to play. Now let's just go through and give the other, let's see. Bond lost a game, Vath lost a game, and Lilith lost a game. So let's just grab a second round with those guys, and then we'll probably wrap that up for the evening. Alright, so let's see. Sunwisp is an excellent open. It's a bit early for Tiger, but that's alright. Alright, we don't really need. Well, we'll want one. Oh, wait, no, this deck doesn't have Holy Immolation because it's a budget deck, so let's just toss both of those away because we don't really need them right now. We'll just open with Sunwisp. And ideally, we find one of our, something like Sunwisp to do the trick. Alright, don't need two Tigers, especially not this early. Well, let's go ahead. Well, I'm going to play the Sunwisp on the globe. Actually, what I should have done is I mean, it's fine either way. So I have the choice of not using my mana, using Lifestream just to get another Sunwisp, which isn't bad, or throwing down a Helium Mystic, because, why not? Now, that is a trap that's easy to fall into as a new player. Sometimes it's best not to play something just because you can. Sometimes it's better to save it. You always want to play an opening play, even if it's a Healing Mystic, because you don't want to just leave an empty board. But let's go ahead and play the Mystic just to globe contest better. This way we have the chance of picking up one of these globes to get our turn 2 Iron Clip. If we can't, we can't. But Mystic's awkward to trade into. Alright. Okay, he just regaliaed us, so no globe for us. But that's alright. So let's see here. We don't really need this live stream. I may just clear that with the Tiger for lack of something better to do here. Let's go ahead, do that, and then we're just gonna pull away out of range of his Regalia, because his Regalia makes him immune to the first 2 damage you do to him a turn, so we don't want him to get any more free trades. So we're just contesting this globe and staying away from him, and we're just going to start spamming Ironcliff Guardians at him, and hopefully one of them will stick and kill him. Lionar does tend to struggle with single target removal. Like they have excellent AoE, they've got lots of healing, lots of big minions, but single target removal is a little bit where they're lacking. Given they have ways to, they can use AoE as single target removal, but really high health units prior to 7 mana, Lionar has a tough time dealing with. So just Ironcliff Guardian spam may be all we need to do here. Okay. Let's toss away one of these Tigers. I think just Ironcliff spam is my best bet. Go ahead and... Now we have a choice between clearing the Bender or forcing him or provoking the Bender. I think we're going to go for the provoke, because if we wait a turn, we can buff the Wisp up, and it will be able to clear the Lightbender in one go here. Now we do want to play around Holy Immolation, given he may be a Titan deck, although Titan doesn't usually run Regalia. But, so, we're just going to play around Holy Immolation, take a step back here, play around Sunstrike a little, well, not really playing around Sunstrike, but playing around Holy Immolation by taking, again, Holy Immolation is, target a friendly unit, deal 4 damage to everything around it. So this way, next turn I can potentially Roar the Wisp to clear this in one go, and he's got to deal with this Provoke. Soul Piercer is always fun. Soul Piercer, especially with Afterblaze, can be very rude. And he has to be worried about Divine Bond, which I don't actually have in hand, but I might. I still may draw it. Let's see what happens here. Oh, he got the Dispel. That's a shame. Wait. Oh, Sunblum. He played Sunblum. I could have played around that a little better. Could have pulled that, theoretically, out of his reach. There were things I could have potentially done a little bit better there. But, so now here's where we try to find ourselves a Divine Bond. I'm going to replace the Tiger, which feels a little bad, but EMP is never bad to see. Alright, well, let's see if we can still yet find a Divine Bond here. Although, just locking him down with another Provoke may be my best bet. Alright, let's just clear this with the Iron Cliff.
So what exactly does Provoke do?
Provoke is a keyword that certain units have. If you hover over it, you can read it there. This is Provoke. It stops. Anything that is next to a Provoke unit cannot move away from it and must attack it if they do anything. So I'm going to go ahead, just play another Iron Cliff here, and buff it up, and take a step back, and just, keep throwing big bodies at him until we hopefully can overwhelm him here. As for what's going on, Spammermoo, I'm just playing some of my budget decks for the new users. Just currently sort of on round 2 with most of the decks. Thanks for stopping by. Alright. Still no Divine Bond, although, it's only a matter of time until we find one, and even if we don't, Afterblaze. Oh, he may be a Divine Bond deck.
Does everybody being a Divine Bond deck mean that we're just gonna end up with a big dumb kaiju fight?
Sort of. Alright, well, I can clear his just by using both of those. Let's see, what's my best option here? Yeah, I think just putting more and more bodies in his face is still my best bet here, so let's go ahead and do that. Although I do need to play around Aperions, so I may actually let's play the Sun Wisp, so we do want to play around Aperions. Let's not actually do the Giago. Let's play around Aperions a bit. Alright, let's clean this up. Right, so for those of you who don't know, Aperions is a 7-mana Lionar legendary that kills everything in a 3x3 area and leaves a healing tile behind it. So I'm trying to make sure he can't hit more than 2 things with it. While I just sort of bide my time here. There's my Divine Bond. So Divine Bond and Lifestream mixed together in particular is very nasty. And we can even go, if one of these guys lives, just one. Okay, well, he may be... Hello, kitty. Alright, there's a Holy Immolation, which I could have potentially played around a little bit better, but that's okay. We can still get a lot of work done. Alright, so we can just keep putting big bodies in his face. Alright, I don't think I need this EMP. Well, that Regalia is obnoxious. I don't want to be dispelling my own stuff. Well, no, I may want it yet. Alright, I think we're probably just going to use the Soul Piercer to clear that, and then drop a Giago in his face. And I am going to go ahead and Afterblaze my Soul Piercer. Usually you wouldn't want to do that, but, that forces him to he really needs to answer that, and since I've got Divine Bond to go with the Giago as well, alright, that's a few more bodies than I need right now, but I think I will go for the Iron Cliff over the Giago. Alright, so let's go ahead and back up some more. This way you can't Holy Immolation us again. And then drop the Iron Cliff. Alright, so now we're completely safe from a Rude Aperions, and we have a very scary field. We can Divine Bond either of these to great effect, especially with Lifestream, even if he damages either of them. No, it is not looking good for him. He's going to have trouble answering one of these, much less both of them. Yep, there's the Aperions. We had a funny feeling that was coming, so he was able to hit all of these squares, but because I spaced out real nice-like, he was only able to hit one thing, which now means we can transition. Okay, I'm going to replace one of these EMPs, because that is just a little bit overkill. So now we Divine Bond for Lionar's signature ability here, which adds the creature's health to its attack, and it's a little nasty. So we'll hit that.
Yikes!
We'll come over here, and we'll buff this up.
Couldn't you have buffed the golem before you attacked with it?
That only works on minions right next to you, so you have to be a little careful with the position. Lionar is a very close range formation focused deal. Let's get going on. Alright, so let's go ahead, clear that the rest of the way off. And now I need to let's go ahead and Lifestream this, just heal it back to full and draw us another one, and we'll go ahead and heal ourselves up.
Couldn't you have put a tiger down and come even closer to killing him?
Yes, however, so that's a common trap people fall into. So especially when you've got a little bit of out of hand bursts like that, you typically want to save that for either the finishing blow or as emergency removal. So I'm just holding on to that and playing things that aren't quite as important as that. Alright, so there we go. So that's how Divine Bond is supposed to play out. It's not supposed to just be get overwhelmed by walls in turn 1, followed by 3 ramp cards turn 2, followed by death the next turn. That was an unfortunate match. Alright, so that's a much better example of how Divine Bond plays out. Alright, so we've won our game with Reva, we've won one of our 2 games with Bond, we won our Fae game, we won our Obelisk game, won our Rag game. Now let's revisit Swarm Lilith and Golem Vath, see if we can do a little better there, because unfortunately we just got stomped by early Wanderers in both of those matchups. Oh no, that's not true. We got stomped by the early Wanderer with Vath, and we got turn 2 Tempest with Swarm after we developed and just couldn't recover. Alright, so let's go back to that, or budget. And give this another shot. Vath does like his legends, but his budget deck is still pretty strong. You've still got all that removal, all that healing, nice little bits of Golem synergy, and of course just good old Vath smash. Now, unfortunately, if we keep running into Wanderer without his various legends and stuff like Homeostatic Rebuke, we're going to have a bad time. But as you saw, we came very close. We were 1 attack away from beating the Wanderer, Ragnaron, and he just happened to put down provoke after provoke after provoke. Alright, so we're up against Reva. We don't need 2 of these thumpings this early. I may want to hold on to a Boulder Breacher more than a Dancing Blades, although Boulder Breacher might be pretty tough to use versus Reva since she tends to play backline things, so we may not really have much of an opportunity for Boulder Breacher, whereas we may need to use the Dancing Blades to kill backline things. Alright. Reva doesn't tend to play a lot of swarmy things, but what she does do is her Heartseekers are excellent Tiger food. So we're going to hold on to that Dire Tide for now. I'm going to replace one of these Dancing Blades. Let's see. Oh, it's Wanderer Reva. Okay, but alright, so again, yeah. Tiger Frenzy is always a fun little combo. So we're going to contest both these globes so that hopefully turn 2 we get a nice Dancing Blades off. Because it's Wanderer Reva, we have to actually be the aggressor. Normally, with Vath, you tend to be a little bit more passive, since the longer the game goes on, the stronger he gets. But certain matchups, like Wanderer in general, you need to be aggressive. So we'll likely have a decent Dancing Blades turn. Or, never mind, maybe he will draw near perfect. Unfortunate. I may go ahead and use the Tiger. No, that's not good. That force field is a bit of a problem for us. Because of that Herald, we can't nat select that. Now that we lost our 2-drop, yeah, that was just a unfortunate little combo there. So I could replace the Thumping Wave, because it's a bit early for it, and although we may need it against Wanderer itself, and/or as a finisher, and we're in a tough spot right now. We may have a pretty tough time using natural selection between stuff like Herald and Heartseekers, so let's toss the natural, as bad as that may feel. I think it may just have to be what we do. Alright, so let's work on clearing this Herald. That may have actually already been a mistake. Oh, that's fine. We want to clear the Herald, so let's set up a moderately defensive Metallurgist. Work on clearing that Herald this way. If he does clear our Metallurgist, then, he also loses his Herald. The Night Watchers definitely put in a damper on our rush focus. But, next turn we can do the good old thumping overload play. Given again, we did still really want to try to save that for Wanderer itself, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And this is really putting a damper on the deck's favorite plays with its rush minions. Plus the force field's just sort of hard on us. We're really just trying to dig up a Plasma Storm, because the Plasma Storm would clean this all up real nice. But we will see what happens. Well, at least he's used the globe now. That way he can't, get that early Wanderer. Oh, that was a bit of a waste there. I don't know why he would waste his juxtaposition for no reason that I can see. Alright, well, we don't really need this Rage Binder at the moment. So let's toss that. Alright, so I guess we're just going to go for the Thumping Overload, because Thumping can be used as a finisher, or it can be used as removal, and combined with Vath's Overload is a nice way to clear those bunnies. So we'll clean that out of the way now. That way we can do our budget Mecanter play next turn. So let's clean that up, buff up, and let's go ahead and start beating up this Conjurer too. Because, if it lives, A, you don't want to leave that around, B, if it lives to Wanderer, we'll be in for a bad time. So let's start killing it now, hopefully finish it off with this next turn. We'll see. Ideally, we get to play the Tiger onto the Arcane Heart. That way, it will survive. And we do need to start getting pretty aggressive here, or we are going to get outvalued by Wanderer again. Well, he may have played right into our Saber Spine Frenzy play here if he plays that Arcane Heart, where I hope he does. Well, let's see what happens. He's playing around Mecanter, which we don't actually have because this is a budget deck, but
Is it still going to be effective, though?
Yeah, should be. Unfortunately, we are getting very low.
Well, no, what I meant was, is him playing around Mecanter still
this is... It's the same, it's just a slightly weaker version of Mecanter here.
Okay.
I'm going to replace this Metallurgist because our health is getting really low. No, our best play is still our budget Mecanter. Fortunately, no Arcane Heart to trade into, but that's alright. Next turn is likely Wanderer. We may not be able to pull this one off, unfortunately. Our health's a bit low, and game's already starting to run late, and without the expensive things like Finality or Drogon, or Rebuke most importantly, we can be in for a pretty bad time. Well, let's see here. Dancing Blades, not looking practical anymore. Okay, well we can at least start getting some healing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 3. Okay, we will... No, we really need to overload, that way we can kill the Wanderer with the Tiger if we have to. 3, 4, 5. Just sort of putting that globe for potential use for us later. I probably should have played the Ragebinder a little differently. Probably should have played it here. That way he couldn't clear the egg as easily. But, oh well.
No, it's okay, Kitty. It's my phone. Oh.
Yeah, I definitely could have positioned the Ragebinder better, but oh well. What's done is done. Oof. Yeah, that's probably it for us. Kron's what lost it for us last time we fought Wanderer too. Just did not have much of an answer. Well, actually, no, that's not true. Last time we were able to answer Kron with the combination of Plasma Storm and Natural Selection. It was then he followed up with the Bone Reaper after that that really did us in. Oh, he didn't just clear the Ragebinder, so that's something, I guess. Not much of something, but it's something. Yeah, unless... Yeah, there's not... It was not looking great for us. I suppose I could have just double Earth Sphere, but it sort of worked. Oh, we've gone after Earth Sphere at least once, otherwise we're dead on board. Maybe dead regardless. There's just not much for us to do when Wanderer gets to play provokes and whatnot. Now, normally, Vath has a pretty dang good matchup versus Wanderer with a combination of Rebuke and a few other things, but Wanderer's just been drawing well, we've been drawing and Budget Vath does struggle a bit more versus it. Alright, well, let's see, what can we do here? We can clear this. We can make sure he doesn't get this globe to clear the Kron. We're pretty much dead no matter what we do, but the only hope we have is trying to burst him down. You know, if we draw into Earth Spheres and Thumping Waves, we may be able to pull it off, but let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're not quite dead on board, but I'd be surprised if I lived through the turn. Alright, yep, we're dead to burn. Ah well. We gave it our best. It's funny, I always point to this deck as one of my decks that I recommend for new players, and it's both strong and easy to pick up, but unfortunately it has not been performing well today, but that's just because we've been having to face top-tier Wanderer players that are drawing well. Sometimes that happens. Well, I'm running short on time, so we're just gonna get our one last game, rematch with Swarm Lilith. Hopefully we don't get turn 2 Tempest this time. And then we'll call that good for the night. Alright, up against Ragnarok. More than likely it's Wanderer Rag, but it may be regular Rag. I certainly prefer regular Rag, but well, it's silver. Well, okay, no, he's played plenty. It's more than likely. No, we definitely don't need 2 replicants in our starting hand, and we don't need 2 Shadow Dancers. Probably don't need 2 Soul Shatters either. Okay, yep, it's Wanderer Rag, so we don't have much in particular we're looking for to beat Wanderer Rag, other than really trying to win early on. Here our Chakram's good, but, but let's toss one of those away. Let's just replicant spam for now. Thin our deck out a bit. We'll save that in case we find ourselves a Furiosa or something along those lines. Okay, we've got our turn 2 Bloodtide Priestess. That's never bad to see. Although with that extra globe from Celebrant, that early Wanderer is likely to happen. Unless we can find something like a Wraithling Swarm, or we may well be able to deny his globes, but we'll see. We haven't had the most swarmy of hands. And yep, I have to deny one of these globes or I am pretty much done for here. Alright, so this last... I might actually need the replicant just to deny a globe, unfortunately. I'm going to toss the Soul Shatter because we're having trouble getting bored, and we do manage... we're almost to Pure Chakram. Alright, yeah, looks like I am going to have to use that last replicant just to globe deny, so let's clean up this last body here. And let's steal that globe from him, which we will also conveniently get to use with our Shadow Spawn. And so next turn, if we still have a field, we can probably get a decent Chakram off. If he... we have lots of options next turn, unless we get our board wiped.
Quick question about the artifacts and stuff like Pure Chakram. So how do you know the best time to use them?
Well, that's a bit of a tough question. So the main thing with Chakram is you only use it if you can. Usually you want to have a couple things on the field, but sometimes you'll use it with one. You use Chakram when you either need the frenzy, like you have a unit that can attack and use its frenzy and hit a couple things, or if you have a bunch of stuff on the field and just want to do a bunch of damage. But mostly you use it when you can play it safely and get immediate value off of it. And to get immediate value off of it, that is done by just having active minions on the field. So we could Chakram this turn. It's certainly an option, but it would let us clear that Dancing Blades. But then we'd clear Dancing Blades and that'd be about it. But that may be worth it. That's likely worth it to us because we can play the Chakram defensively. We can use the globe to throw down a Shadow Spawn. Don't think we need the Shadow Dancer, as he's not likely to play artifacts, nor is he going to aggro us down. He's just going to try to outvalue us in the long run. Of course, Shadow Dancer is still just a decent card, so yeah, I think we're going to go for the Chakram. It's not ideal, because we're only going to be able to kill one thing with it, but it's not bad either. Now, alternatively, we could go for a Priestess, but I think Chakram is the best play right now. I did screw up there. I should have Shadow Spawned before moving, but what's done is done. So Chakram can pull a lot of value. hold on to that ritual for Wanderer itself. Oh, good. We can do Furiosa crypto shenanigans next turn. Unless he manages to draw himself into a rebuke, we'll be in pretty good shape this game. So far, anyways. Magmar has a tough time dealing with Chakram in general. Being smart, clearing. So, yeah, you always want to clear Lilith's field when you can, because, as you've seen, anytime she gets anything to stick, it can get scary real fast. So he's just moving into somewhat of a defensive position now. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. Not the best use of mana, but not bad. Now, I think I am going to toss the Shadow Dancer. I really just need more Swarm. Ooh, that I like. Alright. So let's go ahead and play this Crypto down here. Play the Furiosa defensively and in a way that, we're spawning our Shadow Spawns forward. I miscounted my mana a little bit, but this is alright. Clear this, develop a good board. Let's see, things we're worried about. I really want to hold off on the Crypto. Just because I can play it right now doesn't mean I should. I really want to hold it off until I can, use the Shadow Spawn appropriately, and also we don't want to just run out of cards here. Let's see, we're concerned about Mythron, so we're just going to go ahead and back way off now.
So right, if you had Cryptographer and you had all 6 mana, you could theoretically,
If I had one more point of mana, I could have procced that a second time.
Right,
which
exactly.
Would have been really scary. But I miscounted a little bit there. So now, this does mean Furiosa dies to Mythron. Perhaps I should have just stayed right there to protect her from Mythron, but oh well. I do have to protect my face as well, but it probably would have actually been better just to stay closer. That way I could keep the Wraithlings heading his direction. Okay, well, we're at least not getting punished immediately, so that's good. There's the Wanderer, no surprise. We'll be able to clear that egg. Alright, so we don't need 2 banishings, not right now anyways. Let's start advancing. I'm gonna not move these yet because we want to force the Shadow Spawn to go forward. Oops, I should have played the Boom Chaser first. Let's see, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, this is fine. Alright, so there we go. Now we'll get that spawn where it should be. And then we'll start advancing this. And we'll lock his mobility down. And proc Furiosa a second time there. And unless he has Rebuke, but even if he has Rebuke, it's still going to be tough for him because Frenzy does proc off Rebuke, although oddly enough, not Sunset Paragon, as we found out today. But no. And we've developed a very nasty field. We're outside of plasma range. Even if he does Rebuke, it's still going to hurt. Although Rebuking is pretty much the only thing that can likely get him out of this situation.
Goodness, that's a lot of dudes.
That's what Swarm does. And Swarm always has that awkward polarized matchup of, do they have AoE? Yes? Yeah, you probably lose. No? You probably win. Oh, well, a well-placed EMP. Cleared my chakram, cleared all my hard work buffs there. That'll definitely set me back a bit. But I didn't lose my field, and I have a ton of other ways to get swarm payoffs, so that's fine. You know, it was not a board wipe, and that was the real concern. Alright, so let's toss the Wraithling Swarm. Alright, so let's start advancing things over here.
Yes, and the biggest problem with swarm decks is it takes so long to move them.
Yeah, so we're going to set up Priestess in a position that she cannot be attacked at all. I'm going to actually move this guy up here to defend her back. This here. Oh, right. Actually, there's no reason to be careful with Furiosa anymore now, is there? And then I'm going to go ahead and... Ah, crap. I made another mistake. I missed all my potential Blood-type Priestess spawns. Okay, so that was really bad. Do as I say, not as I do. I should have left some open spots for her to get some spawns when I traded things in here, but I can still make up for that a little bit. Alright, so let's go ahead and clear that. Move this over. I'm still going to say sort of close, that way I can keep using my Shadow Spawn. Limit his mobility. I definitely screwed up there. I could have gotten a few more Wraithlings out of that, but what's done is done. Tell it's been a while since I've played Blood-type Priestess. She's still one of my all-time favorite cards, but been a while, and I missed some good spawn opportunities for her. I mean, you do always want to keep her surrounded so that she's safe short of removal, but you also don't want to miss spawn opportunities, since I could have suicided with Crypto and a couple other things like that to maximize bodies here. So we may end up paying for that, but we'll see. We'll replace this Gibbet because now we need to be looking for another Chakram, or another good payoff card, Shadow Dancer, something along those lines. I guess he has managed to find his single Lava Lance. Can't think of much else other than Lava Lance and Rebuke that would have let him do that, but oof.
Oh, yikes.
Well, that may be it for us. I guess my small misplay didn't end up mattering too much. Well, this is unfortunate. May not be able to recover from that. But we'll do what we can. We'll just run away and start trying to redevelop our field. There's no sense in playing either of these. Nope. A well-timed EMP and a well-timed EMP Crater and Lava Lancer. This is why I hate Wanderer. Alright, well, let's see here. Well, I mean, we could use the Demonic Lure just to kill the Ripper, but that really does not accomplish much for us. We're better off just sort of conserving resources and seeing if by some miracle we can recover here. I mean, if we can find ourselves another Chakram or something along those lines, we may be able to, but it's not looking good after that combination Lava Lance Crater. Oh, EMP Lava Lance Crater was a whole series of problems there. The Death Biter. This just keeps getting worse. I mean, at least it wasn't a Mecanter. You know, it's the budget. Well, it's not a. Yeah, it's a budget. It's the budget Wanderer Mecanter. And we just may not be able to recover from that, but we'll keep trying. So we'll throw down the Gibbet, who's a nice little zoning tool. We'll get that out of our face. And we'll just try to bide our time, see if we can find another Blood Priestess, Chakram, or the like. And Soul Shatters keep showing up, but Soul Shatters are not what we need right now. Soul Shatters are, an early game win condition. You get a good field developed on turn 2 or 3, and then you get a, Soul Shatter on like 4 mana, and you can win a game really early on. But right now, that's not what we need to be seeing. We really need either a Chakram or another Blood Priestess. If we can find one of those, we may still be in this. If we can't, well, that's it. It's gonna be a pretty uphill battle for a while. But he's managing to top deck his 1-ups. We ought to be able to manage to top deck our 3-ups. Definitely not looking good for us. If we find a Blood Priestess right now, we may be able to recover, but that is none of the things we needed to be seeing right now, unfortunately. Alright, well, we can overwrite his egg with a Gibbet. That will help. Clear this off. Play another defensive Gibbet. And try to body block with our Bloodborne spell, but with the mobility that Rippers have, that's not very practical, unfortunately. Well, and the other thing is, I am playing in the first day of the season, which may as well be playing in S-Rank, as that is, myself and all my S-Rank buddies have been shunted back to silver and gold. And so, while I may be having a bit of a tough time against some of these top-tier decks, as you've seen, all of these have performed very well. They've either been winning their games against, top-tier players with Wanderer, or they've been very close games that, short of really perfect top decks for the opponent, we would have been able to pull off. You can't win them all, and, especially on a budget, you just gotta do what you can. And, what I hope I've at least shown is that, skill is more important than the card quality, but both do play a factor. And I think this is over now. I can't think of a top deck that will save us with no board. We don't have. Alright, well, Full Shatter's not going to do anything. No, alright, that's it. Well, we tried, and that's all I have time for tonight. A little sad that my favorite 2 budget decks, Vath and Lilith, are the only ones that didn't win their games, but everybody else did very well. So that should at least give you an idea of some of the basics, as well as just a little bit of what to think about against certain matchups. And show you when you need to be replacing, and just doing what I can to help let you see the decks piloted by the person that made them. Alright. Why are the animations so fast? That is because I use T2K5 scripts, which are really handy. They do all kinds of nifty things like deck trackers, speed hack, which just basically turns off animations. Because I'm a really slow player, I really struggle with the turn timer, and I need every second I can get. When I'm waiting for animations, I rope out far too often. And then, don't forget, there's also the factor of there's a few very sketchy things that people do in Duelists sometimes. There's a few glitches and whatnot with animations that can be abused, but we're not going to talk about those. We're just going to tell you that if you install the speed hack, you'll never get glitch abused by various animation issues. So, I highly recommend using the scripts. They're perfectly legal, and they make the game a little bit better all around. It's a little complicated to use them. I suppose I can just go ahead and show you how I do it real quick here. So, because anytime the client updates, you have to do it again. So let me go ahead and just show everyone how you install the scripts. So you pick the scripts you want, and you copy their codes. I have it all saved in a little quick access Word file for myself. Just in case the website ever goes down, or that way I don't have to go through, pick the ones I want again. So what I do, anytime the client updates, these are the scripts I like. So I go through, I copy them, and then you go, let's see if I can remember where it goes. So I think it's C, Bandai Namco, Duelist, Resources, App, SRC, then you open the Duelist JavaScript file in Notepad. Be very careful not to mess with any of this or it'll break stuff. Scroll all the way down to the very, very, very bottom. And then you also, here's the scripts that I've added. So it's what you do is you have to add them to the very, very end. If you add them anywhere else, it'll be a problem. So another thing to do is always, bring this over a bit because the end is right there. So right after that comma, that's where you paste in the scripts you want. Then you save the file, exit it, and then you launch Duelist, and you'll have all kinds of nifty little game enhancing things. So that's how you do it. So that's all I got time for tonight. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. I will see you next time.